All right, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Invisible Agent, 1942. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I really love this. They say it's based on H.G. Wells. I couldn't stand H.G. Wells. He was kind of a utopian socialist writer from Great Britain, I think. H.G. Wells. And I remember when my stepdad took me to Stanford Theater to watch this utopian science fiction movie about the time machine. Whatever. That movie really ticked me off. But enough about H.G. Wells. This movie has remarkably nothing about H.G. Wells. It's more about anti-Japanese propaganda during World War II. If you like the Batman serial, you're going to love this. You've got Peter Lorre playing Baron Akito. It's like the bad guy version of Mr. Moto. Peter Lorre is incredible in this one. And then you've got Sir Cedric Hardwicke playing the Nazi bad guy. I think he was better as the Pharaoh in the Ten Commandments, but this movie is so campy and clownish. You've got to love it. Yeah, so they were trying to bring H.G. Wells' Invisible Man stories in circulation up to date with all this World War II propaganda. That's basically what happens. I haven't seen the Claude Rains Invisible Man. I haven't seen Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent, although I'm trying to get on the Foreign Correspondent thing on movie from 1940, Alfred Hitchcock. I'm trying to get that one on my DVD queue on Netflix, but you guys keep recommending stuff. Then I have to go back and remove it all the time. I think I've got 50 movies sitting on the bottom of my Netflix queue. All mentions or recommendations from the people commenting or chatting on my channel. Most of them disappeared. Adrian's still here, but and occasionally I'll hear from NASA Genre Cole. But I have to admit that I've been kind of lazy about watching movies, if there is such a thing. What happened was the general manager where I work, he called me back and he has me doing a lot more responsibilities. They're changing my title, which is kind of ironic because I've been working there off and on for 5 years. And I thought I'd never get an opportunity like this, honestly, at that company. A couple of years ago, I thought, wow, my grocery delivery company is offering me a supervisor position before they move to Oakland. And why doesn't the cable construction company do that? But now they seem to be moving more in that direction, giving me more responsibility, recognizing that I have 5 years of experience roughly in the cable construction business. So this is becoming a lucrative kind of opportunity for me. Grocery delivery, not so much. I mean, I got in a big argument fight with the dispatcher from hell that I'm telling you about, and and I got the manager involved, and it's been straightened out. I'm going to start getting more hours, but I think this week I only got 20 hours. But still, at my other job, the cable construction job, I'm working in the office with my mask on all day, my gator mask, of course, which is super thin. And I don't have time to watch movies. I just eat my lunch, get out of my car, and then go back to work. That's how busy it is. I don't spend like 15 minutes watching Invisible Agent in my car. So the bottom line is the only time I have time to watch movies nowadays is when I'm with him. That's the only time. So that's why it's been about a week since I did my last movie review. I'll show you the disc. It's disc 3 again. Invisible Man. Legacy Collection. I'm starting to really love these legacy discs. And Universal was smart when they released these. Because they put the sequels on the Legacy Collection. You can't get them anywhere else as far as I know. But I will try to look for the movie in the trailer if they're up. I could be wrong. Anyways, so it takes place in 1942. The Nazis are planning to bomb New York City, which is kind of absurd, part of the campiness of the war propaganda. And at one point, Sir Cedric Hardwicke says, talks about decadent democracy. Kind of a strange term to use, but to describe Nazism versus United States during World War II, but whatever. There's an amusing kind of speech that or lecture that the Invisible Agent says to the Nazi stooge guy. Kind of amusing. I thought it was corny, especially Peter Lorre trying to play it up for the camera with his Japanese shtick. At one point, he actually sticks a knife in himself, like harikari. But anyways, I'm back. I've got the John Carradine Invisible Man's Revenge coming up. I don't think I can get through all these, but I've got another legacy collection here. They still got the candy canes and the Christmas tree and the snowman. They must be Catholic, these Netflix people. Oh wait, they did Cuties. Never mind.
Suck. It's the worst movie to ever exist.
Cuties?
Yeah.
How could you know? You never seen it.
I've seen like the trailer and it's already disgusting as well.
I don't think Adrian wants to see Cuties.
Nobody should. The trailer's already disgusting. I don't know why people like it so much.
So I should boycott Netflix DVDs? But Cuties is on Netflix streaming. I don't have Netflix streaming. Anyways, so I guess the Invisible Man's nephew gets a hold of the formula. The government wants to use it for espionage, but dude's not like going to give it away without any emergency. So of course Pearl Harbor hits. FDR knew about it the whole time that the Japanese were going to attack. But nonetheless, that's the emergency that they're looking for. It's the 9/11 the COVID-19 of the 1940s. And and so he reluctantly agrees to use the formula, but he'll only do it on condition that he, a totally unexperienced espionage agent, will be invisible, infiltrating the Nazis there in Germany. Now, there's a cool plot twist at the end, but he meets up with a blondie. You don't know if she's a double agent or a Nazi spy until the very end. And she falls in love with the invisible agent, and he starts putting this cream on himself so that she can actually see his face. And there's this other Nazi goon that I was telling you about, the guy who got lectured in the jail cell. He's trying to croon her and serene her with like lobster and champagne and stuff that he stole from other countries, just like how they used the Nazis used to steal gold from Jewish people's teeth. And so there's that. Sir Cedric is his Nazi adversary. He's the one who locks him up in jail on trumped up charges or whatever. And so the invisible agent rescues the guy. He discloses that the Germans are going to bomb New York City. So the invisible agent gets the blondie, and they fly in an airplane, and they start bombing the German airfield. He says that he's slowing them down, but it seems like he did a pretty good job of bombing all the planes. So I don't know what he meant by slowing them down. I guess they're able to build planes really quick. I don't know. I don't know what that means, but the plane is shot down in Great Britain because the invisible agent just passes out inexplicably. It was hard to follow what was happening towards the end, but really super cool flick. I love these Legacy Collection discs. I love 40s movies. As you can tell, I've been going through a lot of them. Mainly because that was John Carradine's heyday at Universal with all these gothic monster creatures. So, anyways, I commented to Adrian about the January 6th fiasco. Mike Pence, I was reading what happened with Mike Pence. He said at a Georgia rally 4 days earlier that he was going to do everything in his power to ensure the integrity of the election. Of course, he did no such. He did the exact opposite. 4 days later, he turned his back on Trump.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the page here, and this is what Mike Pence said. He said, "We've all got our doubts about the last election. I share the concerns of millions of Americans about voting irregularities." Pence said at an indoor congregation at Rock Springs Church in Milner, Georgia, in support of Republican Senators Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue in runoff elections there. So that left open the possibility that Trump could still remain in power for a second term. He said, "Come this Wednesday," referring to the impending certification of election results, "we'll have our day in Congress. We'll hear the evidence. Well, what happened? They stormed the U.S. Capitol while they were supposed to hear the evidence. The police shut that down, the whole certification process, because they didn't want people to hear the Republicans say that the Democrats stole the election. So they decided to have it at night when everybody was asleep. and they even the police even let some Antifa people inside to stir up violence. And so
Antifa sucks. Just the worst.
So here we are with Democrats in control of government, with the exception of the Supreme Court. They're in control of Congress and the president. So we can expect 4 years of lockdowns, economic malaise like the 1970s. But here's the thing. I was trying to explain this to Aaron here the other day. Republicans during the last 100 years have done nothing to stop the march towards socialism here in this country. I mean, it started with the Federal Reserve, then you had the income tax, Social Security, Medicare, and the Republicans did absolutely nothing to stop any of that. And now they're complaining that we're going to have a worse version of communism and there's no turning back. But actually, when the Democrats are in power like this, they actually tend to stand up and fight for what they actually believe in more than they would if they were in power. Like when Trump was president, they didn't do anything, the Republicans. So this is an opportunity like the late 70s when Jimmy Carter was president. The economy was really bad. He was kind of a do-nothing president. Really didn't accomplish anything other than the peace accords with Israel and Egypt. And Ronald Reagan came along and kind of took the nation by storm, especially during his first 2 years. He actually stood for certain principles, which is unusual for Republicans. So there's a silver lining with Biden becoming president, I guess. The Republicans will actually stand for something a little bit more than they would if Trump was president. And also Kamala Harris will be busy going back and forth to the U.S. Senate to cast the tie-breaking vote. So she doesn't have much opportunity to create mischief. So it could be worse. I mean, like I was saying, the Republicans are really no better than the Democrats in my view. Aaron will probably disagree, but it's like, would you rather drive off a cliff going 50 miles an hour or drive off a cliff going 60 miles an hour? That's a choice between Democrats and Republicans in my view. And that's just 2 cents, my 2 cents, worth nothing after inflation. But like I was saying, I got a big argument with the dispatcher from hell. She told me I was making her work late, work overtime, because I had the gall to actually take my meal break. I said, wait a minute. I'm required to take my meal break. The company will get into legal trouble and they'll have to pay fines if I don't take my meal break. So so that argument fell flat. And then I made a strong case to the manager there. I actually stood up for myself after a couple weeks of just letting her have her way and being real unhappy about it. Now she's real unhappy with me because I snitched on her. But she gave me a San Jose route in the morning. I couldn't understand if you're going to give me a San Francisco route, in the evening so that I get back at 9:30. That's one thing. But if it's in the morning, how can you possibly work overtime if you give me a San Jose route in the morning? That's the part that I didn't understand. And that's how I started getting into it with her. And I found out that she was actually wrong in her thinking as a result. So I'm glad that I kind of started being sarcastic bully to her, because otherwise I would have never known that about the meal break thing. But anyways, highly recommended. Check it out. The Invisible Agent. I think on IMDb it's called Invisible Agent. And that's about it. I'm going to check out The Invisible Man's Revenge. It's got the same thing on this disc. It's got like 4 movies. But the first 2 say flip the disc over. And of course there's nothing on the other side. So when they say flip the disc over on this disc, I think they're talking about go to disc 2 or something. I think that's what it means. A little confusing with the home menu, and of course there's no discard. So they really did a cheap job of setting up the main menu and the disc itself, the DVD. There's only one trailer for, and it's the Invisible Agent trailer. It's not the Invisible Man's Revenge. So I'll try to find that on YouTube, post the link. Thanks for checking out my channel. Sorry, I've been on vacation from vlogging for a week because I've been so dang busy. I'm still waiting for that class action settlement check, the 2.7K check that I was supposed to get this week, and I didn't. So I'm going to call the administrator tomorrow and say, hey, where's my check? But like I said, the situation here in the United States isn't all that bad. There's a silver lining. There'll probably be a civil war, and the states that are supporting Trump will probably try to secede from the United States with Joe Biden there. So hopefully the actual patriots, not the Antifa protesters, but the Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol, maybe they will push a secession movement and stoke a civil war in this country. It's possible. We'll see what happens, but I knew that the Democrats would try to steal the election. I saw it coming right at the beginning. That's when Trump should have just unleashed his lawyers on everybody. Right? Not waiting until the last minute after the election. But there were a lot of things that went wrong. I think ultimately the responsibility was on Mike Pence, and he just totally turned his back on Trump, like I said. So I wasn't expecting it. I thought he would say, I'm not going to count these votes from 7 states, or I'm going to count the Republican votes, not the Democrat votes. But he didn't do that. He didn't even think about it. He just said, I'm going to let the Democrat win, and to hell with Trump. It's basically what happened. Laters.